What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday. Your host, Jake Waxman, along with Tyler Lavalette of Two Guys Talk Sports. Let's rock and roll. Alrighty, so another NFL divisional round come and goneth. Sorry, I know that those words don't really make any sense, but we're on to the championship weekend. But I figure before we do that, me and Tyler Lavalette will talk about that on Friday. The championship weekend for both the NFC and the AFC on Friday. But for now, I thought we'd take a look back on the divisional round and some of my thoughts from the games there. Oh, man. Where do you go from here if you're the Buffalo Bills? Another heartbreaking playoff loss. Josh Allen had a really rough game, all right? Too many turnovers to count in that game against the Broncos. I mean, everyone will say that the refs made a lot of bad calls in that game, and there were some calls in that game that were sus, but can't turn the ball over that many times and expect to win. And although the last interception that Josh Allen threw, it was not his fault. That was actually an incredible play made by the Broncos corner there. But it pains me to say this. I feel the Bills' pain. I feel bad for Bills Mafia. But the Super Bowl window's closed for Buffalo. I mean, even though they fired Sean McDermott, I believe his name was. But, I mean, after so many playoff failures, it was probably time for Sean McDermott to go. But I don't think that's going to solve any problems, no matter who they hire next. The Bills' window's closed. Simple as that. They had their chances, and this was a big chance for them, and they blew it. Now, I didn't think they were going to get to the Super Bowl, all right? Too many questions. Defense couldn't stop the Broncos, and I mentioned Josh Allen. I mean, and props to Josh Allen for taking responsibility and saying he said he let his team down and took responsibility for all the bad plays he made. And proud of him for doing that, but Bills lost as a team, all right? It wasn't just Josh Allen, too. Defense couldn't hold their own, and offensively, got to get some better wide receivers for Josh Allen, but I'm not sure. Regardless of what the Bills do going forward, yes, they did, as I mentioned, they fired Sean McDermott, but regardless of what they do, this playoffs indicated that the Bills' Super Bowl window is the door has been shut, the window's closed. The Bills aren't going to win a Super Bowl. And I don't think Josh Allen's going to win a Super Bowl with the Bills. So we'll see what happens from here. Then you got, I mentioned, not much to say about the Seattle-San Francisco game other than, holy cow, Seattle looks really, really good. And right now, I think they look like the favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. They might be the best team remaining in the playoffs. Holy cow. They look good. Sam Darnold played, and he played brilliant. And, the defense really was all over the 49ers. And the 49ers, great season, great run back to the playoffs. A lot for them to hang their heads up high about, or a lot to hold their heads up high for. I think the injuries finally caught up with the 49ers, and they faced a very, very good Seattle team. I'm not sure anybody's going to beat the Seattle team, but we'll see. And then I mentioned the Bears and the Rams. You guys heard my reaction from it. Rough first playoffs for Caleb Williams as well. I mean, Josh Allen wasn't the only one who did not do so hot in the playoffs this year. Caleb Williams, I mean, he had 5 interceptions total. And, you turn the ball over too many times, you're not going to win the game. And you know what? Caleb had a chance to go win the game for the Bears. And unfortunately, he threw an interception in the end, which ended up giving the Rams the opportunity they needed to go and kick the game-winning field goal. But hey, as a Bears fan, it's a bummer. It still hurts, but I'm proud of the Bears. And not going to be easy getting back to the playoffs. So we'll see how the Bears do next season. It all comes down to what they do in the draft and free agency. But really proud of the Bears this season. I mean, it feels great to make the playoffs. I mean, if you would have told me they were going to be in the playoffs as a number 2 seed and beat the Green Bay Packers not once but twice, I honestly would have been like, yeah, right, we'll see. But, hey, this kind of success, considering, I was hoping the Bears would improve this season, but they achieved a lot more than I could have imagined, so I'll take it. Hey, good season, and a lot to be optimistic about if you're a Bears fan. LA Rams, they look like a good team. Can they stand up to the Seattle Seahawks, though? That remains to be seen. So, again, learning experience for both Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams in this postseason. So both coach and quarterback. So I'll go easy on both of them, considering this was just the first time both of those two were in the postseason. And the Bears won a playoff game, so you take it. And yeah, it wasn't a good game for... Now, Caleb Williams, he did lead him to tie the Bears to tie the game up. And he did his thing again, except in the end. Unfortunately, too many turnovers, like I said. And Josh Allen had also too many turnovers against the Broncos. But both of these two guys have something in common. Both Josh Allen and Caleb Williams. Neither one of those two was the worst quarterback in this postseason. Unfortunately, if you thought Caleb Williams was bad, or if you thought Josh Allen was bad, then unfortunately you missed out on C.J. Stroud's performance. And oh man, I feel really bad for C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's a good man. He really is. Unfortunately, however, his performance this postseason was very, very poor. And out of all the quarterbacks in the playoffs this year, he turned the ball over the most. And against New England, I think he had 4 interceptions. It was bad. And he also had a few interceptions against the Steelers the week before. And too many interceptions. It'll doom your team. And I mean, that defense for Houston played really well. They did everything they could to keep Houston in the game against the New England Patriots. Unfortunately, C.J. Stroud's performance doomed the Texans. And unfortunately, now nobody's got questions. Now people have questions about Josh Allen, and people have questions about Caleb Williams. But unfortunately, there's a lot of questions and concerns surrounding C.J. Stroud. Houston does not have an easy decision. They got to decide whether or not they want to extend C.J. Stroud or decline his 4th-year option or 5th-year option. It's a tricky decision for Houston. C.J. Stroud, look, here's the thing. I think C.J. Stroud still has all the tools to be NFL quarterback. He had a great rookie season, but one has to wonder, has the league figured out C.J. Stroud? Because he really has been trying to get back to that rookie season that he's had. The last 2 seasons, he just has not been able to match the stats from his rookie years. I hope he bounces back. I like his attitude. There's a lot I like about him. But one can only hope, and if you're Houston, you can only hope right now that he finds that level of success he had in his rookie season. Or else, I don't know. What I'm saying is, if C.J. Stroud does not have a great 4th year, it may be in Houston's best interest to cut him. But my gut tells me Houston's going to extend him. But it wouldn't also surprise me if they wait to see how he does in his 4th year. I hope he does better. I want to see him get back to that level he had in the rookie season. But I've got a bad feeling NFL defenses have figured out C.J. Stroud. But it also could all come down to the work that C.J. puts into the offseason. I have no doubt he's going to put in the work. Will it pay off? We'll find out. So, just some final thoughts from the NFL Divisional round. I mean, you got, again, AFC Championship. You got New England versus the Denver Broncos. And then you got Seattle versus the Los Angeles Rams for the NFC Championship game. We'll see how those games go down. Me and my guy Tyler, we plan on making predictions this upcoming Friday roundtable. All right. Okay, this next subject. Okay. It really hurts my heart to talk about this because you guys know I'm a Purdue guy. Purdue guy through and through, all the way till the end. I never will root for Indiana, okay? I never will. But you know what? It's time for me to swallow my pride and talk positively about the Hoosiers. And first of all, congrats to the Indiana Hoosiers on their first ever college football national championship. That's right. They have now won a title in college football. And congrats to Curt Cignetti, his football team, And Indiana fan, not the Indiana fans that have jumped on the bandwagon, but congrats to the Indiana fans who have supported this football team from the start of their lives, or who have supported this football team for a long, long time. Congrats to that part of the fan base. And I just gotta say, and again, I'm a Purdue fan, but you know what? And the Hoosiers deserved it. They deserved to win this title. They put it all together. And you know what? I'm happy, mostly for my home state of Indiana. The state of Indiana has something very awesome to celebrate. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought that this would be possible? But here we are. Yeah, like I said, happy for the Hoosier State. They've got some. There's going to be They are not going to stop talking about this for years to come. And rightfully so, of course. But you know what? I've got nothing bad to say about the Indiana football team, and especially nothing bad to say about Curt Cignetti. In fact, nothing but positive things to say about Curt Cignetti. The work he has done at Indiana, it's overwhelming to watch it. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of words for it, but it's incredible. It's beyond incredible what he's done. Because before Curt Cignetti showed up, Indiana was at the bottom of the barrel in the Big Ten. And you know what? Before Curt Cignetti showed up, Indiana, historically speaking, was arguably the worst, and I do mean the worst, Power 4 football program across the country. I mean, Power 5 we're going before that. Indiana University invests a lot in their athletics, but they had always struggled in football. They'd had some good seasons, but not a whole lot. And Indiana football had more losses than anybody else in college football history amongst Power 5 programs, all right? Curt Cignetti took the losingest football program out in the country in terms of the Power 4, and he's turned them into a juggernaut in just 2 seasons. Say what you will about the NIL situation. Get props to Indiana University there. They invested money in the football team. They went out and got Curt Cignetti. I mean, the fact that Curt Cignetti has done this in just his second season in Indiana, he's guided them to a national championship. Hey, that's incredible. And you know what? It's a new day in college football. You put the money into it, you put the work into it, you can win the national championship if you're a program, any program, even Indiana, of course, as we mentioned. Here's the deal. I mean, everyone said, some critics will say, well, they spent a lot more money than anybody else. They had so many donations from billionaires and that stuff, like Mark Cuban, for example. Or, this X, Y, and Z. Look, here's the thing. Money can buy you a lot of things, including a football team, but you still have to have great coaching to go out there and win a football championship. And you know what? Indiana University made, without question, the greatest hire in the history of all sports. The greatest home run hire ever. Because of Curt Cignetti, he took a team that had won just 9 games in the last 3 seasons before he arrived, and now they've only lost 2 games in his first 2 seasons. They've only lost 2 games, and they went undefeated this season. Look, they didn't lose a single game. One of the greatest college football teams of all time, without question. And they played good teams along the way. So, Indiana, they made arguably the greatest hire in the history of college sports, and in all sports, pro and college alike. They brought in a guy who not only could coach talent, but he understood how to work NIL, combining with coaching. You know how he learned. He was able to balance all those things out. And you look at the results. I mean, he's put together, and this isn't a team that had 4 or 5-star recruits up the wazoo. This team had mostly 3-star recruits. So Curt Cignetti took guys. He brought a lot of guys from James Madison, of course, which helps. But he brought in guys that were under-recruited. They were talented, but no one knew just how good they were, except for Curt Cignetti himself. But the magic that guy has done in Bloomington is, wow. It's unmatched. And what the Indiana football team has shown is you hire the right guy, you put together all the pieces in place, not only to support that guy, but you bring a guy who can understand how to work those pieces, and you got yourself a national championship contender. Kurt Signetti it's amazing. I mean, yeah, you got the NIL and the transfer portal, which does make it a little easier to build a championship football team, but you still got to have the right guy at the helm to lead the way. Indiana has the greatest hire in sports history in Kurt Signetti, and that's pains me to say this, but that's as a Purdue fan, of course. But this isn't the end for them. I'd be shocked if they don't win another national championship with Signetti at the helm, because this guy, he can recruit in the portal. He knows how to coach up talent and knows how to structure a team. It's that know-how, being a guy who's been in the sport for a long, long time, and he was with Alabama for quite a few years, so no wonder he's done so well. So with that being said, hey, Indiana football, they deserve their national championship. They earned it. And Kurt Signetti, he guided them. He led the way. He's the big reason why Indiana won. You got to give him credit. Say what you will about NIL and transfer portal, but Kurt Signetti put it all together. Kurt Signetti was the architect of this historical Indiana Hoosiers football team. And once more, I congratulate the Indiana Hoosiers football team, Kurt Signetti, on a very historic and well-earned national championship run. Well deserved. And once again, happy for my home state of Indiana. They got something to celebrate there. I mean, the Hoosiers, okay, it's not my school, but look, admittedly, was I rooting for IU to win this national championship? No. But, again, I am happy that my home state has something to celebrate, even though the Hoosiers are not my team, all right? But, so, not an Indiana fan, but I'm happy for the state of Indiana. And I hope they are celebrating well down there in Bloomington, and I hope all Hoosiers fans are celebrating this victory and this momentous occasion. And one final thought I will say is, seeing the Hoosiers win a football championship makes me miss my grandfather, who was an IU alum. On one hand, I say, I wish he was still alive to see this, because I know he'd be grinning from ear to ear, and I wanted to see that smile. But I also know he's smiling down on the football team from the clouds. So once more, to the Indiana fans who have supported this football team for many, many years, I congratulate you, and keep on celebrating. And while it's a glorious time for Indiana University, these last 24 hours, it's not good for Indiana's rival, Purdue. And it's definitely not a good time for me either. Okay, admittedly, it's been harder to take. It'd be less harder to take if my grandfather was here, but I got to face the music. So, not only was Purdue forced to watch not only were Purdue fans forced to watch Indiana win a national championship in football before Purdue was able to win it, and this comes despite the fact that Purdue has pretty much leads the all-time series in the Old Oak and Bucket rivalry between Purdue and Indiana. Purdue's had the better history than Indiana football until now. But that's not all that's gone wrong for Purdue. Basketball team with a tough loss at UCLA. They went out to the West Coast, went 1-1, beat USC in Los Angeles, and then ended up blowing a 6-point lead in the end to UCLA. And by the way, Purdue at one point before the first half ended, they actually went on a 12-0 run. They were up 27-15. I might be wrong about that, but they were up by a pretty big margin on UCLA in the first half. And then first half ends, game's tied at halftime. And Purdue would go on a run, UCLA going on a run, and then Purdue went on a run in the end, and it looked like they were going to close out this game, but nope. UCLA went on a run and ended up taking the lead in the end and stealing one away from the Purdue Boilermakers. And talk about tough times. So you have to watch your rival win their first national championship in football, and then on top of that, your basketball team ends up blowing a game against Purdue. As a Purdue fan, we have been escorted to the gates of hell right now. It doesn't feel good. Oh man. So, but with that being said, there's some takeaways from this game. All right, Purdue got the last few games. Purdue has not been playing as well as they could be. Usually, Purdue, they played really great basketball in January. They played terrific basketball in January. But this January, Purdue has really not been at its best. They're not playing their sharpest basketball right now. You had 3 straight home games before you went out to the West Coast for 2 straight road games, and Purdue just barely got by teams like Washington and Penn State. And then you got Iowa, Iowa's an improved team. So there. And then you got USC. That was a close shave. And the Boilermakers lately, they've been playing with fire. And against UCLA, they finally got burned. Mess around and find out. That's the censored version of, you know what I'm saying. But Purdue's got to play their full potential. And you know what? Maybe this road trip, it's tough to play out on the road, that's for sure. But Purdue has a lot that they can work on going forward. I still think this is a great this Purdue basketball team. It's a great basketball team. I think they are capable of achieving great things. I think they can go to the Final Four in Indy this year. But if they want to win a national championship this season, there's some things that they need to get fixed, especially before February. Okay. Of course, gotta avoid the cold streaks. Gotta keep momentum down, because in this game against UCLA, Purdue had all sorts of trouble. And I do mean all sorts of trouble. Keeping a hold of the momentum. Purdue would go on a run, then UCLA would go on a run. They messed around too much, turned the ball over too many times, bad shot selection, and lately there's some guys on this Purdue team. I'm not trying to call out anybody, but there's some guys on this Purdue team that Purdue desperately needs to step up big time. All right, like Trey Kaufman. So Purdue, here's the thing. So I'm gonna start with Trey Kaufman run. He was playing really well to end 2025, but in 2026, he's been good but not great. But the last few games, he's not been his normal self. We need Trey Kaufman to get back to his normal self. I mean, Braden Smith, he's been playing really, really well. He's actually, you know what, he's been carrying this team too, not going to lie. But in this UCLA game, he had some decisions that really doomed Purdue in the end. So I have no doubt Braden's going to bounce back, but I need him to make smarter decisions going forward, especially when the game is really on the line. And we need to talk about Fletcher Loyer. I don't know what's happened to him. I just don't know. He's not making shots. Sometimes, and when he's not making shots, it's unfortunately, there's too many times where he doesn't do anything when he's not making shots. Or it's like, I don't mean to call him out, but sometimes we have to ask, what does he even do when he gets out there? Sometimes he'll take a charge on defense. Sometimes he'll drive inside on offense, lay it up for 2, or get to the free throw line. But when he's not making threes, we need to see that more often from Loyer. But if not, it may be best for him it may be best to have him come off the bench rather than be a starter. And I think that's a change that I think could help Fletcher Loyer get hot again. Because if he's not making threes or not doing anything else when he's not making these threes, like, you know, the things I just listed, unfortunately, he's playing. Unfortunately, he's a liability. I hate to say that, but you need production out of your guys. It doesn't have to always be points, but we need something more than just making threes. I need more of that. Like, I want to see Loyer drive inside more, get to the free throw line, even make great defensive plays. Okay, when the threes aren't going down, and sometimes it doesn't. But back to the threes. Loyer is a great sharpshooter, but to start 2026, he is really struggling, and this is one of Purdue's seniors. We need him to step up. We need him to find his groove again, or else it may be best for him to come off the bench. So these are a few things that Purdue needs to look at, or think through and adjust on going forward. Okay? We don't want this. February is going to be these last two games are going to be critical for Purdue. They got Illinois on Saturday. That's a home game. They return home, but that's a must-win game for Purdue, as is the game after that in Indiana, which is on the road at Assembly Hall. And then you got February coming up, and and February will tell a lot about whether or not this Purdue team can really go the distance this season. So, less than ideal loss at UCLA, and congrats to UCLA, they deserved it. But so much for the Purdue Boilermakers to work on, and for Purdue fans, these last 24 hours have been some of the most difficult ones for us for more than one reason. All right, on to this day in sports history, and on this day, the 21st of January, 1992, Bill Cowher becomes the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, becoming only the second head coach of the team since 1970. Chuck Noll was the coach. That's right. So he succeeded Chuck Noll, who had been the head coach of the Steelers since 1970, and that's a long tenure. So Pittsburgh Steelers, known for having head coaches who serve long tenures. All right, sports fans, that's all I got for this week's Waxon Wednesday. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you all for Friday Roundtable. Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports signing off.